Hello, Jeremy Senpai here. And I've said before, and I will say it again. Hey Arnold was ahead of its time. As a kid, there are so many consistent themes that flew over your head, but as an adult, you understand them better. And one of these themes I found to notice is that of a failed education system. The best example of this is in the episode Tutoring Torvald. In this episode, we meet Torvald, 13 years old, and he's still in the fourth grade. We immediately see that he's larger than the rest of the student body. In the classroom, Miss Slovak asks Torvald about a math problem, but he's quick to make a joke of it. I'll get to this a bit later. Miss Slovak, instead of doing her job as a teacher, decides to assign Torvald a study buddy. The rest of the class literally prays that they aren't chosen, only to laugh at Arnold once it's his name called. Later, once school is out for the day and somehow students are still allowed inside the building, Torvald and Arnold have their first session. Arnold tries to quiz Torvald, but he brushes him off by saying math is bogus. But Arnold stands his case by giving Torvald real life examples of where math is a necessity. Instead of getting angry with Arnold, Torvald just invites him to his house later. Torvald's mom welcomes Arnold inside, who is loving and supportive. When she meets Arnold, she's quick to praise Torvald, saying that he's always had a knack for schoolwork, showing off a drawing he did in kindergarten that he got a C for. Afterwards, she left for her night job. So here we have a good measure of Torvald's home life. That his mother works two jobs to provide for her son, and for whatever reason, his father isn't in the picture. Maybe he died, maybe he left them. But either way, it's just the two of them. Arnold tries to help Torvald, but he's quick to make a joke of the entire thing until Arnold finally has enough and storms out. Before he leaves, however, Arnold stops and sees the picture from earlier. Torvald tells him that he knows he's a bad student, and even though he puts in no effort, his mother doesn't see anything wrong with that. There is no wrong in her eyes when it comes to her son. He tells Arnold that he really does try, but it never works. Then the two make a deal that if Arnold helps Torvald, then he'll stop bullying his friends. Arnold tries to help Torvald, but he keeps getting more frustrated and just gives up. Just then, Sid tries to sneak past Torvald only to get caught by him and demand money, including interest. Then Arnold realizes that Torvald understands math. He just needs to apply it to something he understands. The following week, leading up to the next test, Torvald is excelling since he has real examples that he can understand. The night before the test, however, Torvald sneaks out and goes to the classroom. He remembers when he gave the wrong answer. The rest of the class laughed at him. This brings up what I said earlier. I think that Torvald, even though he makes jokes about his schoolwork, this shows that it does bother him. He just makes a joke and getting his answers wrong so he can make light of it. Feeling down, Torvald tells Arnold that he doesn't think that he can make it for the test. The next day, the test is in progress, with Arnold finishing and about to walk out, until Torvald walks in and takes his test. Time passes until Torvald is the only one left taking the test, shown to be very frustrated. Arnold is watching the entire time and reminds Torvald of how he understood the material before. Later, Torvald exits the classroom, showing that he got another C, this time a C+. He thanks Arnold before leaving to show his mom, making good on his side of the deal. While this episode was just a leading example of a failed education system, there are two characters who are other victims of this nobody seems to talk about. Those other characters are Harold and Patty. Harold is a classmate of Arnold and Torvald, and he is his friend in the fourth grade. And yet, there's an episode where he has a bar mitzvah, so he has turned 13. This means that Harold has been held back at least 3 times. And we've seen that Harold is not the best student when he doesn't apply himself. We have seen episodes where Harold has done great when he believes in himself and puts in the effort, but for the most part, he just sees himself as stupid, so what's the point? Patty Smith is the other example. She's 14 years old and she's still in the 6th grade. So she's been held back at least 2 times. But unlike Harold and Torvald, who are afraid to apply themselves because they might fail, Patty is shown to be smart and level headed. People are quick to call her stupid when she's proven that she's far from that. There could be a dozen different reasons why she's been held back. Maybe she has a learning disability. Maybe she has a teacher who judges her and puts the bias first. Maybe she simply doesn't understand the material. No matter what the reason, these three, and most likely others, have been held back. I mean, do we know how old Wolfgang really is? We know that he's in the 5th grade, but looking at him, what are the chances he's been held back? We've all been there when we feel like when we failed at a test in school, and that proves our worth as people. But it's not always cut and dry as you're stupid or you don't apply yourself. If your efforts have been denied too many times, then it's just easier to fall into preconceptions others have established for you. And sometimes if you have a teacher who couldn't care less, like cough cough, Miss Slovak. Seriously, Miss Slovak just dumped Arnold on her struggling student and instead of actually helping him. But I'll get to her another time. Sometimes you do put in the effort and you still come up short, but that doesn't belittle you as a person. It's easier to see your worth when it's a written letter on a piece of paper, and that reflects your self worth. But no, I'm here to tell you that sometimes just try. Even if you know you're gonna fail, you will fail time and time again before you succeed. Samuel Baggett said best, try again, fail better. With every fail, you learn from the experience. But these are just my thoughts. Feel free to share yours in the comments down below. Hit like and subscribe if you like what you heard and you're ready for more. And please, have yourself a good day. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.